Hey guys, welcome to our daily encounter. As we get into Numbers chapter 26, and we see that the people are getting prepared to enter into the new land, they're being numbered again. With this new generation, we see a whole new generation now being numbered that would enter into the land and receive the inheritance. We could think about, what exactly the people should have been reflecting on as they were being prepared to enter into the new land, especially in connection to the previous generation. We hope that, and it ought to be been the case, that they would have appreciated the successes of the previous generation. Despite their failures, they did accomplish a lot. They had gone through the plagues. They also walked through the Red Sea on dry land. They had worshiped the Lord on the other side of the Red Sea, uh, being led by Moses and Miriam. They had also given the great contribution for the construction of the tabernacle. The Lord had given them manna. They had experienced miracles on a day-to-day basis, in connection to this manna. And they had seen God on Mount Sinai. They had received the law. There's a lot of things that the previous generation had experienced, and we would hope that the next generation would have appreciated all that the previous generation had gone through in bringing them to where they were at that very moment. But they should also, of course, be warned not to fall into the traps of the previous generation. The previous generation had moaned and complained and had rebelled against Moses and against God. They had built the golden calf. There's a lot of negative things that the previous generation had done. And of course, this generation should be warned not to follow into those same traps. But they should have also been inspired to forge on to new things. This new generation was not called to wander in the wilderness, but to go ahead and move forward under the power of God and the guidance of God to acquire this new land and to have this new experience of being in this new land with God's presence there with them. And so they had to move forward and do new things that the previous generation had not done. As we think about that in our own lives, that's something that each and every one of us ought to consider. Whether we're talking about in the church at large, where we're talking about within our own families, whatever the case may be, we should always have a sense of appreciation for previous generations, what they had accomplished, the good things that they have done, the way that they have moved forward, the influence of God's gospel here on this world, and to appreciate the great accomplishments that previous generations have made. And we stand on the shoulders of those who have gone before us. But at the same time, we should, be warned about maybe the failures that previous generations have had, where perhaps they didn't measure up and perhaps they did fail and maybe they didn't have enough faith to do this or to do that, and to be warned not to fall into those same traps, but to, of course, avoid those traps while we too live in this wilderness called the world. But also, we, like them, ought to be willing to forge ahead to new things. Yes, to appreciate the things that have been done in the past, to be warned about certain things that have been done in the past, but not to live in the past, but to look ahead to the future and see what things the Lord might be doing in our present case and the things that the Lord might be doing in our future that we need to be working towards. And that's why we need to align ourselves to God's will and to God's purpose in our lives, and to always be seeking the Lord and following his guidance. And of course, clinging close to his word and taking direction from his word, but also moving ahead in the new opportunities that God gives us so that the gospel can spread even further and that new ground can be gained for the Lord. And so as we think about this new generation that's being counted there right before they enter into the land, we too are a generation that counts. And we need to remember the past, both the successes and failures of those who've gone on before us, but also to be willing to forge ahead to new things that God has for us in our generation. and to be willing to do those things and to follow him all the way to the end. So here's some things we can reflect on and think about as we do our reading today. With that, guys, I do thank you for watching the video today. Hope you guys have a great day. Love you guys. God bless.